Oh my gosh, I should have put on some lipstick. I'm scared to look. Hi, how are you doing? I'm very, very tired. Like I was so tired I was getting the Jimmy legs and I was just like, oh, I gotta go to sleep. But I don't want you to think that I don't care and that I'm not here because I am. I'm working really hard on my new business venture, trying to build my retail empire. So, if you want something to work, you gotta put the work into it. So I am working hard and learning a lot and it is going okay. But I wanted to come here and tell you about some really crazy
Poshmark is the
stuff.
app that lets you shop from people.
Why is YouTube telling me about Poshmark? I'm already on there. They're late. They're late to the party. Say hi. Let me know who's here. I'm happy to see you. Okay, I'm just gonna fix something here. This always happens. There's some really crazy stuff going on here in Quebec. It's okay. 4 out of 9 people left. Obviously, I have to go put on some lipstick. Hi, love. Should I go put the lipstick on for you? I'll do it. I mean, really, there was like 9 or 10 people. Oh, there's 11 now. Maybe I don't have to put on lipstick. I was thinking, shit, I should have never showed up here looking like this. Oh, hi, Jill. Oh, well, if it's all the ladies here, I'm sure I don't have to put lipstick on for you, right? Do you really care? Maybe you do. I don't know. Gunner, get me some lipstick. Yes, get me the lipstick. My viewers are all leaving. They're gonna abandon me because I look like old pale face. Quick, get me a lipstick. I forgot. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Tomahawk says lipstick, please. Gunny, anything. Just any color. Hurry up. Oh my God. Thanks, love. Well, I'm good for you, but Tomahawk says I need lipstick. Come here. Oh, look, you get to see my little man. He's not so little. Look how handsome he is. Look, I have a man. Look, I made this. Come down. Look, he's too tall. He's a tree. Look,
hello.
Guys, I made a man. Come down so they can see your cute face. Thank you, baby.
There you go.
Show them your face. There's my little frog.
Hey guys.
He's got his friend here. They're planning a dinner party. You want to tell them the food that you got for the dinner party?
Oh yes. It's
you gotta come down. They can't see you.
It's going to be quite extravagant.
It's talking hair. Come down.
It's gonna be quite extravagant. I'm gonna make a whole meal. It's gonna be really the peak opulence.
Peak opulence. What did you get for your dinner?
A lot of stuff from the Russian grocery store.
Stuff from the Russian grocery store.
Yeah.
We've got what's that stuff called that you drink all the time? Kefir. We've got kefir and baked milk.
Oh yeah, that's
which I tasted and that's pretty good. He's got some roll mops. Oh no, I got old lady lipstick going on now. That's no good. I'm gonna have to use the camera as a mirror. Did you know my text? What text? Oh, Alan said no lipstick. Oh well, too late. I already did it. Alan said no, but Tomahawk said yes. You know, they say you can please some people some of the time, but you can't please all people all the time. So I guess I'm pleasing Tomahawk tonight. It's not going very well. You can see why I'm not a beauty blogger. I feel like it's making me look older. Yeah, they're making a whole big dinner. They've got the Russian cookbook.
Oh yeah.
And they oh no, about California, no, I didn't see it. Sorry, I was busy with my fuzzy little guy here. Show them your hair. Look, my son has what is known as a Jewfro.
Oh yeah.
Look at this hair. This is some crazy stuff.
It's just really bright.
I love it. I love the hair. It's very like coarse.
I don't
love
know
the
how you
feeling of
sit
it.
here and stare into like the.
Because
there's
I'm
like
a professional. I will. That's why. Because I can do it. Okay. Thank you.
So
Goodbye.
Take this back.
No, I'm gonna need more because my viewers are still leaving.
Bye guys.
Okay. Like that. He says he likes your hair, brah.
Thanks, man.
He says thanks, man. Thank you, Kentucky girl. I think he's handsome too. Okay, let me fix this. What the heck? This is like I feel like it's too thick and dark. I'm not getting the kind of look that I want. I didn't see your text about California, but I really want to tell you about some stuff that's going on here. I'm not kidding. And I was kind of thinking I should record it so that I don't have the chat, because I love that you guys are there and I love talking to you, but sometimes it really like sends me off on tangents. But I cannot deal with my computers anymore. This one doesn't work anymore at all. I can't. Well, it works. It works for going on the internet, and like I'm logged into everything on there, but it doesn't work for like transferring files. It'll eat my files, and I can't do any like editing on here. And the other one is just, it's really small, and like it takes forever to transfer files. It's like watching paint dry. Try, you know, when you're like, you put your drive in and it's like getting the data from it, and you see that little bar that goes, and usually it goes whoop really fast. Well, here it's like super slow, and at the end it's like really 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 slow. Anyway, long story short, it sucks. And I can edit on there, but I have to sit on the floor. I just can't anymore. Anyway, I'm just too tired. I just can't. I'm working super hard on my Poshmark and Marketplace, and well, listen, you guys, I you know I love you, right? But I went to see how much money I made on YouTube this month. I made $100. Okay, at $25 a week. And that's how it was when I was making those videos where I was taking like 8 hours a day. It's only because of people on Patreon that I'm still even bothering, because otherwise, yeah, like it's fun, but it's not something I can like commit to, and it's just seems like a huge waste of time to like edit videos for no reason. And they gave me a strike this week for a video that I did like 10 years ago, which was about the work of Tullio Simoncini in Italy. Sorry, you'll have to go look him up. I won't mention it. Jeez. And Otto Warburg, who had won a Nobel Prize, and all I did was mention what he won the prize for, and I got a warning strike. You know, I'm gonna appeal it, but it's just like, oh, what an ungrateful business, right? Don't talk about people who won a Nobel Prize. I mean, how is this even possible? You can't even talk about it. But anyway, so like that's discouraging. And B, like I need to support my family. Everything's super expensive. So yeah, yeah. Hi, Olivier. Yeah, pretty much. Well, it'll certainly get you like, what do they call it? Canceled, you know? Whatever. You can't. I'm gonna be like, you know, when you do whack-a-mole, like you whack me here, I'll pop up over there, though. You know, I'll find something. Well, I mean, I guess with all the tentacles, who knows? Eventually, it's just gonna be like, you know, like with your little like implantable microchip, and they just turn your chip off, like Aaron Russo said to was it Nick Rockefeller? And he said that then they'll just turn off your chip. No, he said that to AJ. That he said that that's what Nick Rockefeller had told him. I just want to get a chip. That's what he said. Hey, you gonna give me a strike? You know, for well, I'm just repeating what I heard. Apparently, this is what he said. Anyway, oh, I'm sorry, Alan. I didn't see. Oh, it just passed. Wait, the precursor to the Mark of the Beast just passed in Canada. Oh, there's been so many precursors. I remember when the Obama healthcare bill came through, and there was this whole section about an implantable device. And then they even had court hearings about whether like an employer could mandate that you take a chip, and they said no at the time. It was like for, you know, like that you have an implantable chip, say to open an electronic door. And like this, that we've been discussing this for some time. Well, Alan, maybe you could tell me again, what was the precursor to the Mark of the Beast that passed in Canada? Because my opinion, like the digital passes that we already had like a little while ago, and the known traveler digital identity, and all this kind of stuff, that is all precursor. I said it before you even showed up many months ago. I said that that was all infrastructure. But let's not talk about it, you know? We all know anyway. So, yeah, so like there's this problem in Quebec. Okay, Olivier, fâche-toi pas, don't get mad at me. But okay, like it's important for Quebec to stay French. You don't want it to get swallowed up into English, Anglophone, whatever, because part of North America. And I agree with that. And I even agree with like the rules for like, you know, immigrants, they have to send their kids to school in French and all that. But they're taking it to the next level. So they had this thing called Bill 96, and so that means that even they're going to reduce the amount of spots in English CEGEP. So, for example, somebody like my son, who I sure tried to have him learn French, but it didn't work, probably because he's autistic. So he's been educated in English. Although I had put him in French school, but because of what happened and because of the help we needed to get and the kind of school he had to be in, I was kind of obligated to transfer him. So I had to get the eligibility. So he's been in English school, but he was in immersion, never learned any French. And now he would have a very, very hard time getting into post secondary education for CEGEP because they've reduced the amount of places for English. So it's very, very, very competitive. It's not like when I wanted to go to college, it was like you just sign up, anyone can get in. Now it's going to be really difficult. And so people who have money, they just put their kids in a private school, they do grade 12, and then they go to university. But the regular folks who don't have that kind of money are at a really big disadvantage. So that's number one. Now they're doing something else where they made a rule that the universities, and guys, it gets much worse. You might be like, who cares? What are you talking about? You guys have like black white racism issues in the States, or race, what are the tensions or whatever. Up here they have language. Okay, the language police, literally a language police. Um, okay, I'm just thinking, wait, where did I park my car? Because speaking of the police, I got a parking ticket today, but okay, no, my car is fine. So now what they're doing is our government is trying to shut down the English universities. So the way they're doing that is they're going to like pass a law, or they already passed it, that the tuition for foreign students has to be 3 times as much as the tuition for locals. And so a lot of Americans and people from Europe will come and study at McGill and Concordia, but that's because it's cheap and it's still a good education. Like it's cheaper than in the US. College is famously expensive in the US. They come up here, but if it's 3 times as much, then it won't be worth it. So this is like a way for our government to crash, like to collapse the English universities. So they want to keep Quebec French, but the way they're going about it is to just make Quebec completely inhospitable to Anglophones. And they'll say, not enough people are speaking French at home. But the problem is, okay, Quebec, we have Montreal, which is urban and very multicultural for the most part. Outside, it's very rural and it's very French, heterogeneous or whatever, homogenous, actually. What am I saying? And the problem is we have shortages in the labor market. And some of this problem comes from the fact that, well, Quebec has a very high dropout rate, and we don't have people trained in the sectors that our economy needs. And we have an extremely low birth rate. It was 1.7 per woman when Gunnar was born. It's gone all the way down to 1.4. We're not having a lot of babies here. So imagine a population where we're having a large aging sector and we're having a shrinking birth rate. So with every generation, it gets smaller. We have fewer and fewer younger people. And hi, peasant media. I'm trying to explain something here, but I did see your comment about Jason Unruh from Maoist Rebel News. I don't know what he wants to debate me on, but I mean, what do you want me to do? Like, look him up? Hey, you want to debate? Okay. About what? I don't know. But anyhow, so we if you don't have a birth rate that's at the replacement rate, obviously what happens is the population is going down, but you're actually just getting a really large wedge of older people here from, back in the 50s and 60s when there were 4 or 5 kids per woman versus now where there's 1.4. So we don't have a lot of kids being born here. And on top of that, the dropout rate is very high. We don't have enough people trained in the industries that we need them trained in. So our government has no choice but to import immigrants. Like we have a lot of people from Europe and we have a lot of people from Asia. And they have to do that. If not, there's no one to get the stuff done. You know what I'm saying? Like for Quebec to be competitive and for our economy to run, they need people working. And if our own people aren't going to do it, I mean, our own as in the people who are from here originally, we have to bring in people from outside. That's why there's a special deal to bring in caregivers from the Philippines, and they also brought in nurses that, like the women from Haiti that are men, I guess too, but they brought nurses from Haiti. I think they bring in a lot of tech support people from India right now. Like my building, it's like 70% people from India, and they all do computer stuff. Because if they don't do it, who's going to do it? So when you come to Quebec, you have 6 months to learn French, which is fair enough. I mean, I don't think 6 months is enough, but like it's fine, fair enough that people have to learn French. I agree. I agree that business should be conducted in French. I mean, if you're serving the public, you have to do it in French because Quebec is French. But the problem is our government's not happy with that. They're complaining that not enough people speak French at home. I mean, I'm just thinking about my neighbors who are all from India. They speak English fluently. Hi, Miss Angie. They speak French. Do they speak it at home? What the fuck? How is that the government's business what language we speak at home? I speak German with my mother. Is that a problem? Do they really want me to speak French with my mother? Actually, I do, because my mother also speaks French. So you guys have seen her in the videos. She's her English is getting worse, but she learned French and German before, because I've told you this before, she's French. So they're like German French. So this area passed between the two countries in terms of control, and so they do learn French early. And so she did speak French always. She learned English later. We never spoke French at home though. We spoke German, and then later when we were in school, my sibling, well, you guys know I have a brother. My brother and I, we started speaking English. We spoke English together. We stopped speaking German. Does the government really think that people are going to speak French at home if it's not their first language, or it's not the language they're comfortable with? My neighbors from India, you want them to speak French? What are you going to do? Put a little puss in their house, a little camera or something to listen in and check what language we're speaking? And this is because you have imported labor. What do you expect? Half of Montreal is visible minorities. I mean, look, the Jews in Montreal, they don't speak French at home. My neighbors, they're all Indians, whatever. They don't speak French. Because my accountant told me that there's a new thing where if you have a company, which I do, and you're an Anglophone, you have to send the government 2 pieces of ID. You have to like register with the government. And that properly freaked me out. It freaked her out too. And wait till you hear what happened to her, because there's a whole other story. But I was like, what? ID? I have to send ID because I am English? And I got pissed off because I was like, how do you even know that I'm Anglophone? Why are you designating me as Anglophone? I'm bilingual. Actually, I'm German originally. My first language is German. It was anyway. My mother tongue is German. So I don't understand, why is the government designating me as English or French? If I was entirely schooled in French all the way up until like the last 2 years of high school. I did all my schooling, all my exams. I did everything in French. And then yes, I went to the States. It's true. But so what? Like, why do I have to give my ID to the government because I'm an Anglophone and I'm running a business? Like, that is so, it seems like 1940s Germany, maybe actually back it up, like 1930s. It started to get really scary. It's like, what exactly do you want? I had to look into it because it made us so paranoid. My accountant's actually leaving Quebec, but not because of that, because of something else. But it was like, she said, well, it's like they're keeping a list. Obviously they are. But I realized after when I looked it up, so they made this rule that any company that employs more than 15 people has to conduct all their business in French. And I already knew that, but you know how many people I employ? Myself and my alter egos. So 1, or I guess you could say maybe 3 if you count Anita and Flo. Hey, thanks, Hog. So I thought, well, this doesn't apply to me because it's just me. And she's telling me now even I have to send my ID to the government because I'm conducting business in English. What do you want me to do? Like, because I'm on YouTube and I speak English. I'm speaking English to you guys because you're Americans. Almost most of my audience, it's American and from like outside of Quebec. And that's because I used to have an American radio show on American Freedom Radio. So are we going to get to the point where I'm not going to be allowed to speak English on the internet? Because it seems like we're getting dangerously close to that point. Because in my business, I have to conduct my business in French. Are they going to give me a fine and tell me I have to speak French to you guys and then put subtitles? Like, that's crazy. So as I was looking into it, I think what it is, sorry, I got a rabbit hair in my nose. Um, what, oh, no, what? Um, somebody is speaking French to me here. Avez-vous de bon fromage? It says it like I just picture it with a French accent. Oui, on a du bon fromage. Moi, c'est sûr. Brie de Vaudreuil, that's my favorite. So like I run an English speaking business. Yeah, I'm a vlogger and also I'm on Poshmark and I sell to people all over Canada. Am I gonna have a problem now if I do my communications, like when I have a customer on Poshmark and we communicate and I do it in English, is that gonna be a problem? Because technically it could be because I'm supposed to conduct my business in French. Um, it's just like I think that they're wasting their time. I don't think this is the solution at all. Like I said earlier, their problem is they don't have, if they, I mean, look, I don't have any problem with immigrants. We need them. Look, my parents are immigrants. Why would I have a problem? But if the French Canadians are complaining that we have too many immigrants, well then, why don't you get busy populating Quebec and getting an education so you can do the work that needs to get done? Otherwise, don't complain. You're complaining that people are doing a job that needs to get done, basically. And now you want them to speak French not only at work but at home too. So we're not at the point where it's illegal to speak French in your own house, but it is illegal to speak French at work. Now, it was always that you had to like send your papers in French and do your taxes in French. But lately, um, there have been stories of people being completely refused service in English to the point where it's like there's no common sense. Like there was an 80-year, you've never heard this about Quebec? Yeah, it's really like that. I don't I mean, I don't experience it because I live in a multicultural neighborhood and everyone here, well, we're just all happy we can speak in some language to each other. Sometimes I'll have to pull up my Spanish and talk to my neighbor in Spanish. And they'll be surprised and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, sí, yo hablo español también," and like we can speak Spanish. But anyway, just this idea of like controlling what people speak. So it was you had to use it at work. Then it became like it's illegal to speak English at work. But now people will get refused service. Like there was a story of there was a 95-year-old woman who was at the liquor store. She's an Anglophone and she's talking to the guy in English and he's completely refusing to serve her in English, although he probably speaks English because most people are bilingual. And he's asking her to show proof that she's entitled to speak English. So now, like, you have to have proof that you have English language minority rights. Like, we're considered, or we, whatever. I have a trouble whether, like knowing whether that's really me or not. I mean, yes, obviously I'm not French Canadian, but in Quebec, in Montreal, like half of the people are immigrants, so we're not really a minority. And I'm not an immigrant, but people who are like Anglophone or from other background, basically not French Canadian pure laine, which means pure wool, which is literally what they call it. They call it pure laine. Can you imagine if white Americans called themselves pure wool, referring to like white Americans? Can you imagine, for example? And not including Italians, though they don't get included. Can you imagine if like the British, British American, like British ancestry Americans, would be able to refer to themselves openly, even on the media, as pure wool. Think about it a little bit. It wouldn't go over very well. And it's so ironic in this day and age with all the sensitivity to racism and discrimination that they could say that. And actually, Francois Legault runs a lot of his political platform on this whole premise of making Quebec more French. But in Montreal, there's immigrants. Outside, it's very pure laine. It's very white. It's very French. They're not going to start speaking English, just like, we don't speak other languages in our home because they are French, and they're not. I don't really think that there's any risk of them not speaking French outside. And I don't mean outside like way out. I mean just like literally just outside of the inner city, even maybe the South Shore or like Chateauguay. And I'm going to tell you about Chateauguay. I don't really think that there's a risk that somebody in like Abitibi is going to stop speaking French because like everything's French, right? They all speak French. It would be just too weird. That wouldn't be organic. They wouldn't all just suddenly start speaking English. I think it's impossible. However, in Montreal, it's like you're trying to force people who are not French Canadian to act like they are and speak French in their house. I mean, if you really want that to happen, it would take generations of their children being born here and being in French school, speaking French with their friends, and then bringing that French home. No, they wouldn't even. But just like I was raised speaking German, but I dropped the German at a certain point because what kids do is they see what language is needed around them to succeed, and that's the language that they'll default to and they'll use all the time. So if those immigrants' children are schooled in French and the neighborhood is like all the kids are in French, they won't speak Italian or whatever, Hindi or whatever they speak at home with each other. They'll speak French, and then they will speak French with their kids. And usually the language of the like the ancestors or whatever is extinguished by the third. Like if my parents were the immigrants and I'm first generation, usually by second generation, such as my son, the original mother tongue is gone. And it is. He doesn't speak German. How are we going to pass this language on when we have, you know, there's very little of it around, so that's usually what happens. But for English, like there is a lot of English community, but I don't think that you're going to solve the problem by just making it super inhospitable, because these people in my building, these Indians, they're not English, they're not Anglos, right? Our government's looking at this and they're just seeing it as they don't speak French at home. They're Indian, you know? What do you expect? That's ridiculous, right? So this is the problem, and Salty, my government is just completely freaking me out here. So they're complaining that people are not speaking English at home. So they're trying to solve this problem by collapsing the English universities. It's got nothing to do with it. Those universities are educating Americans. They're going to go back to America. They're not going to speak French anyway. It's got nothing to do with it. They want to like eliminate the English education system. So that I guess it's like speak French or just be super poor or move out, So, I don't think they're solving their problem because, like, I'm repeating myself, but in case you didn't hear, I don't think that you're going to solve the problem by making everyone leave Quebec. Like, so many people that I know are leaving. They're just going to Ontario, they're going wherever. But if, like I said, there's not enough of a French Canadian population, and they're not educated enough to like run all these industries. So all these immigrants are coming in here, they're on a stopover in Quebec, and they go somewhere else. And like the Haitians, they speak French, but they're not pure laine according to the French Canadians. So do you think they feel welcome? I mean, they should in Montreal, but let me tell you what happened to my friend. So she's got dual citizenship. She's a very educated girl. She's actually like half native and half black, but she looks black. And she lived in the States. She lived in New York. And she went to McGill here, and she's a professional. She's an accountant. And she bought a house in Chateauguay. And Hi, David. Hi, everybody. She's married to a guy who's Mohawk. They finally buy their dream home. They had no idea what they were in for. I remember during this whole like George Floyd thing, we talked a little bit about the racism issue, and I was like, so like, what's your experience been? She's like, I've never had this experience. I've never felt like I was discriminated against except this one time when I was using a platinum credit card, and the two women before me who were white had used the same card. But then when it came to me, she asked me for ID, and I asked for the manager, and I was like, what is this? What she's doing is illegal. And anyway, the girl had to apologize. But when they asked her, like, what are you doing? She was like, I was just doing some investigation or something. And my friend was like, your job's not to investigate. Your job is to scan the card and whatever, do the checkout. But but she had never like had those kind of really unpleasant experiences generally in Montreal. And so she moved to Chateauguay, and she said they're absolute rabid racists. I'm going to tell you the truth. So it's all French, it's all white. They're mostly older people, and they're like they hate the fact that my friend and her husband are there and they're not white, and they're just giving them a hell of a time. They they did so many things to try to screw them up. Like they actually took the border of their uh, like the fence. They moved the fence like to shrink their property. They literally like show up at their door and call them the N word, like as a group. Like there was this thing on Netflix or Amazon. Do you guys remember that show about these people that move to Compton, but like back when Compton was all white? And it's like in the 50s, there's a black family that moves in there. What was it called? The Others or something? It's like that. It's like that. It's like a nightmare. She had to put cameras everywhere because of how they were harassing her and the things they were doing, which I don't remember all the details. And the neighbors called the police and said that they didn't feel safe because she was filming. But she's filming her own property for her own protection. And she caught the neighbors like vandalizing her property and harassing her on camera, called the police, and she says that the younger officers are very sympathetic, and then the older ones will be like, okay, there's nothing going on here, like everybody just leave. Like they won't do anything about it. She even tried to get a restraining order against this one particularly rabid neighbor. She is so scared for her safety. She said there was another black family in that neighborhood, like on that block, and they just disappeared. They left. So these people will literally run you out of town if you're black. So this isn't just like a mythical thing. This is right here in Quebec. This is in Chateauguay. And they told her husband, go back to your country. And he's Mohawk. So this is his country. More than it's even theirs. He was here first. His ancestors were here first. But they're like super aggressive. They're really, really aggressive. They say all kinds of insults to them. They use the N-word, like I said. You don't buy it. You don't buy it. Are you from Quebec? I don't think so. You're not. I don't think you're from Quebec. Yeah. You think I'm making it up? Would I come on here on YouTube and tell you the bullshit story for what? For what reason? You've never seen it. Where do you live, GTO? Yeah, it's near the reserve. I know. No, he's a really nice guy. No, I'm telling you, they're so aggressive with her that they're literally leaving and going to Ontario. She's like, I'm done with this. I can't. She's scared. Lying. Why the fuck would I lie? Anyway, they complained to the police. She said to me, well, they all showed up at the house and they're all calling them the N-word. Like a bunch of them showed up and they're all like yelling at them and like harassing them at their apartment. Their house. They can't just live peacefully. And she asked me, like, isn't that hate speech? And I said, legally it's not, because it could be harassment, but legally hate speech is when you incite other people to take an action against a group. Like, if you incite people to commit a violence against a synagogue or something against black people or about trans people or any minority. It could be disabled people. It really could be anyone. course I'm not lying. What would I benefit? Anyway, stop trolling me. Somebody put him in timeout. So annoying. Um, so it's not hate speech legally. That's not the definition of hate speech, but it could be harassment. And she complained to the police that these people are showing up at her house and like yelling and banging and whatever else they were doing and calling them the N word and stuff. And the police were like, well, they have a right to express themselves. That is literally the answer. Ah, tu pourrais être un mode, je pourrais t'ajouter, mais je sais pas comment faire tout de suite. I don't even know. Okay, ben merci Hawk. Je vais t'ajouter plus tard, I guess. I don't know how to do it. Wait, maybe there's a way I can. Hold on a second. Oh, add as moderator. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Okay, merci Hawk, je t'ai ajouté. Okay, so I made you a mod. So yeah, so the police told them they have a right to express themselves. And you know, there is that line, that fine line between, you know, offensive versus illegal. And I've always been on the side of you have to tolerate being offended because otherwise your own freedom is at stake. That's why I love the movie The People versus Larry Flint about the pornographer, because that was the whole point, that, you know, if you can make it is something illegal because it's offensive, then we're all in trouble because we're all going to get offended and everything's going to be illegal. You don't want that. But offensive is one thing. Like if you call somebody any kind of name, you know, or you swear at somebody, it's offensive, but it's not illegal. But if you're showing up at their house and trying to stop them from sleeping and you're stopping them from being able to live peacefully, that is harassment. But the police wouldn't say anything or do anything. She tried to get a restraining order and they wouldn't give it to her. My friend is so scared. She's so scared. I think she's afraid that what they're going to do is they're going to try to fabricate some story to try to accuse them of a crime that they haven't committed. They certainly haven't committed any crimes, but she thinks that she heard that they were plotting against them. And this is what I gleaned, is that the neighbors are going to come up with some way to accuse them of committing some kind of crime. Good luck. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to work. Good luck to them to trying to do that. But, you know, it's an insane amount of stress for her. And imagine after her working so hard her whole life and they finally buy the house and they've only been there for what, 2 or 3 years? She is moving. She's moving to Ontario. And a lot of people are like, I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to move out. This is my home. But this is the kind of like pressure that is being exerted on people who are not white, or who are white, but they're not French enough. They're not pure laine, pure wool. If I went to Chateauguay and I'm not French enough, I mean, I can certainly speak French, but I'm not French enough. Maybe I'll get the treatment too. I don't know. I haven't had the treatment in a long time, but I've seen Aaron get it. And Aaron is actually, he's French, but he was adopted. So they forced him to speak English and he could never really learn French again. It screwed up his language development. So I think that's so messed up. You know, you see some French ignorant bus driver, like literally would not put the wheelchair ramp out to pick him up and put him on the bus because he's speaking, he spoke English. And he told him, au Quebec, on parle français, and he wouldn't put the ramp out to take him in the wheelchair. And I thought, so fucked up. I mean, Aaron's French anyway. Like, that's so ridiculous. And there's this fucking guy who is one of my viewers, and he's been my viewer for a very long time, but he started to troll me about French, and he was telling me that I'm the problem. Because I'm making videos in English? Is that the problem? No, trust me, I'm not the problem with Quebec. That's ridiculous. You should go and look at what they're doing in the government. Maybe then you'll find the problem. They're so corrupt. They're just exploiting this whole race thing, which isn't really a race, it's a language and whatever. We're all Europeans, you know? But I mean, on the, you know, on the European side there, like French, like me, I'm German French, and they're French from where? A different part of France? Like, so it's not the same? So I'm not French enough. Well, I'm German, right? So because at some point the Germans re-won the territory, so genetically we're the same, basically. I mean, what is this bullshit? Okay, so it's cultural. Excuse me. You know, I eat tourtière too. You know, I just don't stay away from the poutine. It just doesn't make any sense. Peace and Freedom 2011 says, I lived in Long Lac. My house was burned down. Really? Where's that? I don't even know Long Lac. Your house was burned down. See, I think that she's afraid that something like that's going to happen. Jeez. I do speak French, Olivier. Yeah. I have a hard time with it when I get tired. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how. Like, when I was younger, I spoke French every day, all day. And I guess I went to the States and I didn't speak French for a while. Like, my mouth got lazy, you know? It's like my pronunciation gets bad. I get tired, you know? My mouth literally gets tired. And then if the government says, you know, I have to now like give my IDs. I have to send them my IDs so they can put me on some kind of a list that I'm an English person running a corporation. Like, yeah, like, do you have any Japanese military there? You know, yeah, it's like, it's so weird. Like, what are they going to do next? Put us on the list and then what? Oh my God, no, I didn't hear about the 13-year-old girl in Germany. I can't believe that this would happen in a classroom and nobody would intervene. Well, I don't think that the Quebec government would put us in internment camps because honestly, they're so broke. The place is a mess. I've told you about the Mercier Bridge. I went over that bridge and I thought, oh my God, it looks like it's just gonna fall apart. Like I cannot even believe that this is. Well, wait, no, it's not Canada. It's Quebec, but it is part of North America. How is the bridge so bad? You know, and I'm being a bit sardonic about that. Canada and Quebec, because it is still inside of Canada. But how is the bridge so bad? How are the roads so bad? How is the educational system so bad? The medical system, how does anyone even survive? It is so bad here, you guys. I really believe that our government that we have right now is turning Quebec into a third world country. And you know those French Pur Laine people, they're gonna suffer from it too, because if you make it inhospitable to all your immigrant workers, who's gonna do it? You're gonna be so screwed. Have it your way, Legault. Make it miserable. Get rid of all us Anglos and allophones and immigrants and see what happens. But apparently, I would have to give my name and prove that I have a right to speak English at work. I better do it, or they're going to shut down my YouTube. Imagine they send me a fine for speaking English on the internet. How crazy. Oh, yeah, downtown Vancouver East Side. I've seen that too. That's another shit show. That's insane. But that's a whole other subject. But yeah, what are they going to do to me? And then, the question of like, do you speak English at home? Well, I live with my disabled autistic son who has never been able to learn French. So yeah, I speak English to him because if I speak French, he's not going to understand. Sometimes he speaks a little Russian though, but that's no good. Do I speak English, French in my home? Yes, I do when my French friends are here, but not with my child. But can you imagine your government asking these questions in America? Can you imagine taking a survey and being like, oh, too many people speaking Spanish in here, like in California or something? Imagine if the government said, we're in California, we speak English. Just put it into that perspective. Actually, no, because like English is the language of like imperialism, so it's not under any threat. But what if they decided it was going to be Spanish now? And they're telling you now you have to speak Spanish at work and at home. And when you go to the liquor store, you get no service. I mean, you know, there are some places where I think the government should just butt out, So ridiculous. It's happening in the States, but is there a state that there's no state that has made Spanish its official language, you know? You believe my mom is proud of me? Aw, thanks. She is, though. I know she is. She's pretty much said it. Un burrito, por favor. Olivia, you're gonna have to do better than that. It should be easy for you because you can just like speak French, but like put O's on the end. It's pretty close. It is ridiculous, Candy. I mean, I get it. I get it about protecting the French language. I get it that like the signs are in French and you know, service is mostly like it's in French, but there it's become this like crazy oppressive like extremist atmosphere. That's the problem I have with it, you know? Um Now like if you need to communicate with the government, it's all in French. And even like the rental board, like Aaron does not speak French. He's kind of old. He's almost 65. And he doesn't speak French and he's not going to speak French. He cannot get communications in English. I mean, I don't know if there's some way that they can, but generally no, it's all French. So like my son would have a horrible time and everything, you know, you have to do it online and it's all in French and all your papers are in French. You better figure it out. But it's really hard for like old people. There's people that are like 95 and they're old Anglos and they don't speak French. I don't really understand how anyone can live here and manage without speaking French. I don't know how it's possible. Long story, Monbouche. Oh, really? Oh my gosh, I remember that back in the 90s with the Wolverines when they did that whole like thing on the Hells Angels. They tried to take him down. That's just because the Hells Angels started to like shit where they eat. They started to like get messy and it was just out of control. Yeah, how's my son gonna survive? I don't know. How's he gonna get any kind of job if he has to speak French at work? Even and this is the crazy thing, like even if it's 5 English people at work, they're supposed to speak French to each other. Otherwise it's illegal. I mean, if you're imagine you're in the States, okay, you go into a what do you call it? We call it a dépanneur, but it's like a corner store, a 7-Eleven, and it's a bunch of Indians in there. Are the Indians allowed to speak Hindi to each other? Of course they are. Can you imagine there's literally a language police. They could come in and like find the business owner because everyone is speaking a language other than English. And in school too, like when the little immigrant kids go to school and naturally they'll gravitate towards other kids who speak the same language. So they speak Farsi, you know, the Iranian kids will kind of like they'll speak with each other because when they arrive they're in something called français accueil, so it's like welcome class. It's called a welcome class to help them learn French. But in the courtyard, you know, they'll find people that speak their language and they're not allowed to do that. They're not allowed to even speak any language other than French, even in the courtyard, even with each other, which is a bit weird. But what's really weird is like they even made it that since you have to speak French at work, if you have, let's say, an operating room full of English, you know, Anglophone doctors, they have to speak French during the operation. I mean, do you want the person to survive or do you want everybody to be speaking French? You know, sometimes it might be like you have to choose. People just leave. Yes. So you have like Dr. Rosen and Dr. Steinberg are like, s'il vous plaît, doctor, passez-moi les ciseaux et le coton ouaté. You know, or he's speaking to the nurse, asking for stuff in English, and she's like, voila, doctor. And they all have these horrible Ontario accents, you know. No, well, no, they're not supposed to speak Hebrew either. But they have Hebrew schools, but it's private. Yeah, what do the Jews do at work? That's a good point. They have a very like little sort of closed community, and actually, a lot of them just speak English. Supposedly, they're supposed to speak French at work. But the thing was, it was if the company employed 15 or more people. So if it's a really small business, I guess you don't have to. But then why do they want our IDs now? Ugh. But I think it's so that they can grandfather it because down the road, you won't even be allowed to speak English at work at all. Like I would probably not even be allowed to speak English on the internet if that's my job, which it kind of is, even though I don't make any money at it. But anyway, and then there's Poshmark. I'm going to have to be typing to my English customers in French. Imagine that. You know, whenever I get someone who's in Quebec, I always make sure to like write their little notes that I put into the package. I write everything in French because they're going to report me to the language police. No, but I just do it to be nice because usually people do speak French. So I'm not going to write to them in English. That would just be obnoxious. But I always think, well, better not anyway. Get the language police at your door. Um, GTO, no, it's not exactly new. It's just that with Bill 96, they've ramped it up. So they've cut down on the places in the English secondary, post-secondary school, like in the CEGEP. So it's going to be very hard to get an English education unless you're rich. You go to private school. And now they're trying to collapse the universities by tripling the tuition for foreign students. So they're going to lose, McGill's going to lose all those Americans. And they're making it that you have to speak French at work all the time. And you don't have to serve anyone in any language other than French. So like I said before, in case you missed it, a 95-year-old woman went to the liquor store and they completely refused to speak English to her, and she can't speak French. And that's kind of how it is. And it's just pitting people against each other, you know? But they're fighting the wrong battles, you know? They should clean up their house, first of all. It's such a mess. I think, well, no, this isn't even Justin Trudeau. Although you'd think that the federal government could do something, but apparently there's like a notwithstanding clause, whatever that means. And because of this notwithstanding clause, they can like basically overrule everything. You basically have to prove that you have a right to speak English from now on. Will it affect tourism? Well, it will if you're not allowed to run a tour group in English. I mean, if you can't do the tour in English, how are you going to have any English tour people? Anyway, I was really upset to hear that my friend was being so harassed, and then it's like the police are just, they just turn a blind eye. The neighbors are like showing up in groups at her door, calling her and her husband the N-word, and the police are like, well, they have a right to express themselves. Well, you have a right to express yourself, but you don't have a right to like harass people. You know, like I wouldn't be able to go over to my neighbor's door and yell in front of his door. Can you imagine if I went down there to the French guy? There's one French person in the building, I think, or in on my floor anyway. He was really happy I spoke French. He was like, "Oh, finally," because everyone else here speaks English. Imagine if I went to his door and I started banging on his door and like calling him names. The police would show up and probably arrest me, of course, for harassing him. But my black friend, she calls the police and they're like, well, they have a right to express themselves. So crazy. Anyway, I had to rant a little bit about it. And I'm pissed off, you know. And I don't understand, like, how do they designate someone as Anglophone? Or, I mean, why? Like, it's so stupid. Anyway. And it's like, oh, what are you going to do? Make us wear a little badge that has an A on it for Anglo because we don't speak French at home? It is. It's ridiculous. Frogs. No, but frogs is for the French from France. I think that they call the French Canadians peppers because they say they put Pepsi in the baby bottle, but I don't know if that's true. Olivier, you can tell me if it's true. Olivier Hawk. What do they call the French Canadians? That was the only one I heard, like peppers. Pepsis. Yeah, I had to just come on rant about it a little bit. I'm thinking there was some other shit that I wanted to rant about, but I just feel like, God, like imagine like all the bureaucracy and like how much time they spent drafting this kind of stuff. And Olivier says they call them the best. Yeah, because you're pure laine. I don't understand, like in this day and age where you can get accused of being a racist for like just like the slightest thing, and yet here it's like normal. It's like it considered like valid, you know? Is who, Aaron? What? Oh, the yelling in the background? No, no, that's Gunner. I don't know. There's got to be some other words for it. I only know Pepsi. Anyway, I'm sad my friend is leaving too. I haven't seen her much like since the pandemic. It was awful. She like holed up almost the entire time, and now she just got COVID, and it was bad. Apparently, it was really bad. She was really really sick, and she had her her shots and everything. Um, and she said it was so bad she had like all this super phlegm in her throat, and she's like super wiped out after even now. And I think we just had it also like a couple weeks ago. And no, well, here's the thing about Paxlovid, okay? Like, this is not medical advice, disclaimer, and whatever, okay? But what I had heard was the thing with Paxlovid was it was tested on unvaccinated people. So later there was some controversy. It was tested on, yeah, unvaccinated people who had never been exposed to COVID before. So they don't really know, like, how effective it would be on a different population. Yeah, Jill. Yeah, maybe even makes it worse. We don't know, right? What do we know? We're not doctors, and in fact, even doctors don't know anything. The pimply snot nosed pizza eating basement dwelling hoodie wearing trusted flaggers at YouTube know more than Dr. Campbell. You gotta keep him in line. What is this? Is it normal if you were racist with a French person? What do you mean? Oh, you mean like no, but like it's no, I'm talking about like there's institutionalized racism here. Not so much like here, right here in my neighborhood, in Montreal, like, but outside. It's like part of the culture. Oh, yes. And you haven't had a family doctor in years. That's another thing. And then at one point, to save money, they have a shortage of family doctors. In case you didn't know, it's really hard to access medical care, and they've put up so many roadblocks. And then the government decided that they would cut down on how many hours doctors could work to save money. So they were like able to see like 1,000 less people per year. Oh yeah, I heard about the lawsuit against AstraZeneca. And so what it is some people who had been very seriously injured. They got the VITT, vaccine-induced thrombotic thrombocytopenia, something like that. And some of them had died, so it was the family members that did this. So they had the money to get lawyers and to mount a lawsuit. Um, but they're not allowed, like, the vaccine manufacturers had immunity from liability, but the whole premise of this lawsuit is that it was, I think they said it was like a defective product or something like that. Uh, yeah, I don't know exactly 100%, but there is a lawsuit right now, and they found some like loophole around it so that they couldn't say your product was dangerous, but they were trying to say that there was something defective about the stuff that they put out in the population. And from what I heard from, I think, was it Dr. Campbell, was that apparently the way that it had been made in the trials was not the same way it was made when it was put out in the population, or there was some discrepancy. So based on that, they're trying to have this lawsuit. Oh yeah, that's so crazy too. We lack doctors and nurses, but do you remember how like what a fortune they spent during the pandemic and how they rallied people to like fill up the stadiums and vax everyone. They somehow drummed it up, but the rest of the time it's very hard to get taken care of. People just don't want to stay. I mean, you think Dr. Rosenberg is going to want to stay now? He has to speak French with his English coworkers, and it's so ridiculous. When you have two people with speaking with a horrible Toronto accent to each other, it sounds absurd. Where did all the funding go since SARS? I don't know what happened. Where did SARS go? Guess it just disappeared. But you know what makes me sad is I feel like the Legault government is running Quebec into the ground. Like they're literally crashing our economy. They're dividing people. They're screwing up our educational system. They're screwing up our medical system, and they're gonna just crash everything. And all my neighbors, like these Indian kids, I mean, they're kids to me. They're in their 20s. In this building, we talk, and a lot of them are quite disappointed with their experience here in Quebec when it comes to dealing with, you know, government and bureaucracy and like the amount of corruption that we have here. They're pretty shocked. And mostly they're like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to be here for, 6 months and I'm going to Ontario. Nobody wants to stay. Then they have to get more people and teach them French. And I have a neighbor down the hall, the one that came over at Christmas. She is a pharmacist. She has like a PhD, but they don't recognize her credentials here. She because she's from India, I guess. They don't recognize it. And she would have to redo the exams, which cost like $8,000, but you have to redo it all in French. And that's why people just don't stay, because they are pharmacists and dentists in their country. They come here and they're driving a taxi and or an Uber now. Anyway, I think that was it. I don't think I left anything out. I'm talking a blue streak for an hour. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you, I think we had COVID. Like I had just like a little sniffle and like we were like sneezing and stuff. Gunnar and I had it, but it was so slight we didn't even notice. And then we noticed that we couldn't taste our food, and we were like, "Oh, uh-oh." And then Aaron got it, but he had it. It was like for a matter of hours. But my friend, when she got it, it was pretty bad. And I'm noticing like my friends who all like went along with the program, when they get it now and they're sick. And the ones that didn't go along, they're okay. Like, I mean, that's been my anecdotal experience. How am I doing? Well, I'm okay. I'm just working really hard, busting my ass. I just feel like, why does the government want to put up more roadblocks? Yeah, you and your kids too. Yeah, apparently it's like going around again. Well, surprise, surprise. But me, when I get sick, a lot of the time, I don't really get that much symptoms. Like the year after the lockdowns, you may remember I was sick like every month almost. I had one thing after another. And I haven't been sick at all this year. Last year I was sick. When we were heading out to Europe, I was coughing so much I thought they weren't going to let me on the plane. I was using an inhaler. I was having like spasms in my lungs. It wasn't COVID. It was something else. I caught everything, but I haven't been sick since then. So I guess my immune system is good. But I don't get sick, but I get really bad like psychiatric symptoms. It's horrible because it seems like I'm coming across bugs like every month or two. And you guys know when I come on here and I say I'm espresso depresso, like I just feel horrible. It's just like soaks into me. It's just such a bad feeling. It's really hard to it's hard to deal with that. And I think it's related to my immune system. Yeah, I remember Dallas Goldbug. Last I heard, he went to jail for meth. Supposed to be there for like 10 years. So I guess I could put back up that video. I made a video, The Ear Doesn't Lie, and he flagged it for copyright. He said that I used his artwork, but his artwork was stills from my videos. So how's that his artwork? Crazy. Yeah, so quite a few like my friends' kids too. Like I've noticed like the kids that were born lately. Like I know one she had a little boy before. Now she had a daughter, and the daughter has like been sick the whole time. She's 6 months old and she's always sick. Not like severely ill, but sick enough. Another one, her newborn was in the hospital for weeks. He was like 5 or 6 weeks old, and it was rhinovirus, like the common cold, and it made him that sick. Oh well, good for you, Salty. Wait, are you in Canada, Salty? Mr. Potato Head. Which one? Are Mr. Potato Head in Canada or the America? They're all potato heads, all these politicians. What? Oh, you're in Mexico, Miss Angie? How cool. Where are you in Mexico? Yeah, who knows? Who knows what was in there in Mexico? You watched my son grow up? The other girl, when I started here, I had Lena with me. She was really just my neighbor. She wasn't really that into it. She just made videos with me for fun, but it wasn't going to be like a long term thing for her. She had a baby. She had this really crazy guy that she had the baby with. That guy, he okay, he's dead now, so it doesn't matter. I can tell you. So he was this Greek guy called George, and he was a janitor in this building. And she started dating him. That guy had a house and a wife and two kids, and he got divorced. I don't know what happened. And then he was working here as a janitor, and then he started seeing Lena, and then they had this daughter together. But in between, he started doing drugs. And he even he had like a midlife crisis. He started going to raves and doing like club drugs, and he even had a stroke, and so one of his eyes was like, you know. But they had the baby, but he never got better. He like got worse with that. And then he was always working, and then one day he went to the hospital for a work related injury, and they discovered that he had lung cancer, and he died 3 weeks later. He didn't even know. He was just losing a lot of weight, and they were like, "Oh, you have cancer." And that's what happened to her baby daddy. So that was Lena. I haven't heard from her in ages. And then there was Karen. uh she just moved on. She's a teacher now. Remember, she went to Mexico to teach, and she came up here and she was a teacher. Yeah, yeah, he said I was Sarah Palin. Well, people say a lot of things. Does this look like Sarah Palin? It's just the glasses. If you take the glasses off, it's like nothing here that looks like Sarah Palin. Yeah, I had a visit with her in Mexico. No, I don't remember Guy Lapointe. Not off the top of my head. I do remember Michel Courtemanche when he was really popular. You interviewed Max Egan, and your channel got banned for that interview? Really? Oh, so long ago. I don't know. Does Anita speak French? She's gonna have to. Yeah, she speaks French. Oh, you're a teacher in Mexico. Oh, okay. Well, where are you in Mexico? You didn't tell me, did you? Oh, hi, none of your business. What do I think about Dr. Shiva? I don't know. I don't know who they are. What makes you think I would know about Dr. Shiva? Dr. Shiva, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but it is nothing. Nothing to worry about. Nothing at all. I don't know Dr. Shiva. Shiva the Destroyer, right? Oh no, that's Kali the Destroyer. Hi, Nicole Ray. It's hard to keep the track of the chat sometimes. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, San Jose del Cabo. Oh, in Cabo. Cool. Oh, did I tell? No, I didn't tell you. I went to a party, okay, with all these people that I've known since I was a kid, and a lot of them are or doctors, or married to doctors, or doctors married to doctors. And man, they're having a lot of problems. Not all of them, but there's one person. I'm gonna try to. I want to make sure that I don't like break any confidentiality or like give any hints of who said what. But okay, one person that I know, his father-in-law got. I told you this before. He got cancer around summer 2021. By December, it was like full body. It was a case of turbo cancer, and it was a small kidney cancer. And they were like, "Don't worry, these things are small, slow growing. We can treat this." 6 months later, turbo cancer. He died in March. Rest his soul. Um, and that same man's daughter, one of his daughters, had to have her uterus removed. She just had a hysterectomy. Now, another friend. How did this go? Okay, first her brother's brain exploded. That was in 2021, like right around the summer or something like that. So he had like a massive hemorrhage. And he was like in his 40s, right? Brain exploded. I mean, that's not the right word for it, but you know what I'm saying. Then her father gets turbo cancer, dies really fast. Then her husband gets cancer, but he's still alive. And she already, first of all, has chronic Lyme, but now she has like an autoimmune condition. She has like ulcerative colitis. And when they give her antibiotics for the Lyme, sorry, it makes the colitis flare up. Then they give her immune suppressants to suppress that. Then when her immune system's down, it makes the Lyme flare up. She was wearing a mask at this party I went to. I actually went to a party. I know it's crazy. Like it never happens, but it did happen. And I was like, what's going on? Are you sick? Because she was wearing a mask. She's the only person wearing a mask. And then she told me that she has chronic Lyme. And the real reason she was wearing the mask was because she had gained 40 pounds and she didn't want anyone to see her face. And I thought, oh my God, that's so sad. Come on, look at me. What, you got a double chin? What, like one of these? Is this what's bothering you? Get over it. She still looks great. She looks hot. Big tall Amazon, you know? And she's so like ashamed that she actually has some curves now, so she's wearing a mask. But imagine her father gets turbo cancer, her husband gets cancer, her brother's brain explodes, and she has an autoimmune disease. And it all happened like just in the last couple of years. So much crazy stuff. Who has liver cancer? Oh no. Oh, that's awful. Oh yeah, well, none of your business. I can't tell her. I can't say things like that to her. She's a doctor, you know. But she was the one who was telling me now that she's a chronic Lyme patient that she feels like the doctors don't listen and you get gaslit and like they don't really know what they're doing. That's what she said. She said, I just feel like they don't really know what they're doing and they don't want to listen to me. There's some of them, they don't believe in chronic Lyme. So now she's not a doctor like medical doctor, but she's a scientist type doctor. So now that you're on the receiving end, now you know why people have said these things. Now you know why people go to alternative medicine because you can't. There's only there's only so much you can do with your doctor. Oh, thank you, Hawk. My Mexican teeth. Um, but yeah, and there's another one. He's had heart problems for the last couple of years, and they're like in their 40s. I mean, generally they're okay. There was another guy who died. I heard this at the party. Somebody like dropped dead of a heart attack. I mean, we are getting older, but they're all just still in their 40s, coming up to 50. Oh, yeah, and another friend, there's a long list here. So, okay, her ex husband's mother had a relapse with cancer. Her current boyfriend's father just died of lymphoma, and her boyfriend's sister now has lymphoma. And my neighbor, too, eh? I mean, it seems like there's an epidemic. Oh, you just came back from North Africa, really? How was that? That sounds interesting. I'd like to go there. I just want to get rabies. I met a guy at the party actually. He told me he went to India in the 90s and I was like, "Oh my God, India." It's so scary because of the dogs. It's just the dogs, you know. I'm scared of the I'm not even scared of the dogs. I'm just scared of the rabies. That's it. It's that simple. And yeah, he said it was totally crazy. India in the 90s, it was like extremely poor and you couldn't drink the water, you'd shit yourself to death. And it was like full of street urchins and lepers and stuff. And it was really crazy. And so he went back recently and he was really shocked that it's like all nice and clean and it's all perfect. And you can drink the water. And his friends were like pouring him a glass from the tap. He's like, no, no, no. And they're like, it's okay. You can drink it. So apparently India's on the way up. So like Quebec is going this way and India is going this way. What are the Indians doing coming over here for work? I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, they just make money and then they'll just bring it back with them and then I don't know. Probably get a better job in India. Oh, the strays were super friendly. Yeah, sure they're friendly, but what if they have rabies? Oh, hey, Ottawa Fro. It's Tyrone in the house. Hey, that's cool. Nice that you dropped in. What's on your mind? I can't believe you went to India. When was that? Oh, Bon Ivers is speaking German to me. That's nice. Well, I mean, I'm not. It's not like I don't think there's any value to modern medicine. Obviously, I mean, I take Aaron to the clinic. You know, I'm Gunnar has an appointment for his knees. He has torn meniscus in both knees, and he's really upset about it. He feels like he's disabled and he can't walk very far. And like, so I mean, yes, it has its place for sure, but it's just sometimes when you have a weird problem and you try to get help and if it's not something like clear cut, oh hey, uncool paranoia in the house. Oh, I love you too. Thanks for the corn. Hey Tyrone. Oh really? You went in 2010 to India? Oh no kidding. I remember that. I remember that. They had like a whole big attack, but like nothing came out of it. It didn't work. You could say. Oh, you're in Mexico and your dog never had a vaccine. Well, what I heard was like Mexico's been really good about rabies. Like when I lived down there for like 3 months in 1990, and they had outbreaks of rabies in dogs. It was scary. I never. We saw the little peritos, like the little strays, you know. But the dogs are nice, but they did have rabies around there back then. But apparently now, no, at least not in Quintana Roo. It's like because they vaccinated them, so they're not carrying it anymore. Oh, really? They had all that extra security. Well, how was your trip? You didn't need jobs for Tunisia? I wonder what it's like there. I mean, I would like to travel to Asia. Oh, I was in San Miguel de Allende. I went to a school there for like 3 months. My mom's okay. She recovered from the falls. She's okay, thanks. My GTO says my friend moved to Ecuador. They operated on her dog on her dining room table. Oh my god. That's kind of metal. Your Indian friend told you that you shouldn't pet the strays. Yeah. There was a case of a woman who went to a yoga trainer retreat in Rishikesh. This was just a few years ago. And she caught rabies from a puppy. And then she went to the States where she was from. She went back home and she was like having like horrible anxiety and she went to the hospital and of course they didn't think she had rabies. They told her she had anxiety and just like write it out, go home. Turned out she had rabies. Yeah, it was in the news. Okay, good night, Miss Angie. I should probably go to bed too. I was thinking like, I don't know, maybe I could come on here again tomorrow. I was supposed to go up to the rehab center today to get something for Aaron, and I didn't make it up there. Um, well, look, I usually like close this with like showing you a little bit what I've been doing with the thrifting, and I'll do that, and then I'll go. Uh, I've been like upping my thrifting game. I sold a lot of things, and I like reinvested, as you know. My place is already looking better. I sold like 3 pairs of boots this weekend. 3 pairs of boots in the last 2 days. Three. I sold Bear Paws yesterday. I sold Morels today, and I sold a pair of Uggs. So that whole stack of boots I have in the front, which it looks like the reason I have these boxes here on the other side of this rack is because I put all the boots up there because I wanted to have winter boots for sale. So I bought them like starting last year, February. And I figured it'll happen, in the winter, people will buy them. And that is happening. So those boxes had to come down so I could use that for my inventory. But now the boots are clearing out. So I'm going to put these boxes back up there. Yeah. And that low baller, she offered me 145 for the Lululemon, the Ugg boots, a very, very special vintage shirt, and a leather skirt, which was ridiculously low because Poshmark would have taken like 30. I would have had like $115. I probably paid 60 for the stuff, so it was like $55 profit. Well, I sold the one pair of Uggs. I didn't take her offer. I tried to negotiate. She didn't accept. I deleted and relisted the boots. That was last week. They sold already now. I sold them today for 87. So there. Good thing I didn't take the lowball offer. Anita en français. Okay. A little Anita. Okay, but let me show you what I got. Okay, just a couple things. my throat is like sore from talking so much. Okay, I got this sweater. Can't even figure out where's the top. Yeah, I'm upping my thrifting game. Sorry, I have a sweater underneath, so it doesn't look very good. But this is a rich lady sweater. It's too small for me, though. You probably can't even see it very well. And it's like way too small for me. Anyway, the sweater, it's from La Fée Verte, the Green Fairy. Look, it's really beautiful. See? Beautiful, like open cardigan type sweater. So that was a score. And then I have this, which I have to show you. This is so crazy. This is vintage Ralph Lauren made in Hong Kong. That old. And wait till you see it. It's really stunning. It's not going to look so good now because it's not buttoned up. But look at this. It's like Aztec pattern. Can you believe this? What? What's wrong with it? It's not hanging right. Anyway, I thought you might appreciate this. This was a total thrift find. Look at this. Isn't that amazing? Vintage, probably 80s Ralph Lauren. How cool is that? Really nice, eh? And this one, this is insane. I'm trying to only buy things that are really worth some money. This is so gorgeous. Wait, let me close this so you can see what it looks like. This is a Dale of Norway sweater. It's wool, of course. And then it has this. These are the clasps. It, unlike any other sweater, look, it has these pewter clasps. Isn't this incredible? Isn't that so beautiful? I mean, it's just like really wow. Somebody had one of these up for $185. I listed mine for $125 because it's it says size 40 here, but I mean, I measured it and it's pretty small. I don't know. Everything seems small to me now because I guess I'm just so like not plus size, but this is it's a pretty small size. I would say it's a small. Incredible, right? I saw this one up on eBay for $300, but I think that they're just gouging. I don't think it's worth 300. But yeah, I'm getting better. Oh yeah, also I found this. This was cool. This is a vintage Laura Ashley. I think that it's a pajama top. I'm pretty sure it's a pajama top. Because this doesn't look like a normal blouse. But I was amazed, like, wow, Laura Ashley, look at that beautiful pattern. Well, my eye is getting better, Hawk. Yeah. Oh, whoops. Oh, I got a couple more things. Like I've been finding the most unbelievable stuff. This blouse, look how gorgeous this is. It's stunning. It's so gorgeous, and it has these flared sleeves. And look at the pattern on it. It's like delicious. It's so beautiful. If it was, no, I wouldn't be able to wear it, even if it fit me. I can't deal with this kind of sleeve. I listed this and it was sold by the next day. I was really happy about that. It's not a PJ top? Really? I wasn't sure. I thought maybe at first I put it as a blouse. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's British women's workwear. Oh no, I don't go to Marché aux Puces. They charge way too much. No, this is from the regular thrift store, if you really know how to look for things. Isn't this gorgeous? It's a Desigual. I keep telling you about that Desigual. It's still good. Anyway, it sold really, really fast. Well, I'll show you a little bit what else is here. Nanette Lepore. This is supposed to be tied. It's just a really high quality blouse. They sell these at Saks Fifth Avenue, so it's gotta be good. And I found this. This is a vintage Y2K Volcom. And then it says in the back, sea of constant change. So it's kind of really, really unusual. Okay, good night. But it has a problem, is that the sleeves are a bit ratty. Although I could probably fix that up a little bit. But I mean, you know, to me, like the fact that it's this vintage piece and everything else about it's really good, I don't think that this would destroy the value. I'm still gonna list it. And then I've got some things like Bowden dress, rich people clothes. And this one's really pretty, embroidered. And I've been getting way better at finding Anthropology. It's like an Anthropology shirt dress. Okay, there's one thing I want to show you. I'm going to go dig it up. Oh, well, this is crazy, this thing. I haven't listed it yet, but I have to, but it's just hard to photograph. It's Colmar. It's this Italian one-piece ski suit. Probably 1980s. This is shiny purple. And I wasn't sure if it was Y2K or was 1980s. Because look at this. Rhinestones. Rhinestones is a bit Y2K. You think this is 80s? Okay, it probably is. Because the shape of it, it seems consistent with other 80s models. Okay, it probably is 80, but it was made in Italy, you know. When it says made in Hong Kong, I know it's 80s, but this was all made in Italy. But check this out. Oh, this is a vintage Afghani. You know what's crazy about this? This is velvet, right? Velvet and embroidered. It's like tribal. I see these things selling for like $900 on Etsy. It's way too small for me, but I could picture this like on a tall, leggy boho girl with long brown hair with jeans. I bet it would look really good on some people, you know, just not on me. So I had to pick this up. There's some crazy shit right here. How could I leave this in the thrift store? It's almost an antique. Yeah, this is a score, right? Look at the buttons on it. It was just sitting there, like nobody was paying any attention to it. Yeah, so those are some of my gems. I'm trying not to shop too much because I have quite a bit of stuff. And I found one other thing, which was a Airbnb logo on it. What are you talking about? What has Airbnb logo on it? This? Does Airbnb have something like one of these things on it? Well, Airbnb stole it from the Afghanis, obviously, because they had it way before there even was such a thing as Airbnb. Just ripped them off. I got one last really cute thing. Let me go get it. It'll just take me 1 second. What?
Corbin, we gotta go to the mountain.
Huh? Not tonight.
We have to go to the mountain to get.
Okay, I'll help you. Well, my son is planning a big dinner for him and his friend tomorrow, and he made me buy him all this stuff, like I said earlier. Now he wants to cook it, and it's like, no, it's 1 a.m. Hi, Amanda. Look at this. This is so cute. Look, this is vintage Christmas. It's what do they call this? Petit point cross stitch, I think. Cross stitch. Yeah, me too, you guys. Isn't that cute? I don't know how old it is, but it is old. It's got that really old velvet that you don't even find this anymore. Now you get the dollar store velvet. That's like all floppy. This is like the real original thick hard velvet. Pretty cute, huh? Yeah. Eh? So those were my finds. Oh, and this, the guy who bought this returned it. I was telling you about this with the vest, and he said it was a crop top. I tried it on my son, and it really is very short. I don't know if it should have been a reason for him to return it, because he was saying that the problem was that the front was shorter than the back, and he was taking these pictures where it made it look that way. But I'll show you the vest. If you hold it like this, the front, if you hold it flat, it's not that much shorter in the front. It's just a little bit. There's nothing actually wrong with it. And it is really way too short, though. I tried it on my son, and it really is like a crop top. Like, it comes up to here on him. But the thing is, it doesn't do that on me. And I think that maybe it's actually a women's vest. I thought it was a men's vest, but apparently maybe not. Maybe it's a women's vest. So I guess that's it, you guys. I better go, unless there was something else I was supposed to tell you about. I don't think so. Was there something else? Did I forget? Well, anyway, that's what I'm doing, turning myself into a professional shopper. So wish me luck. I'm getting better at it, though. That's much better than before. I'm getting much better at, oh, Anita, oh my God. Oh my God. Now I have to speak French in the middle of it with a wig on. Okay. Ah, tabarnak. Ben trop tard pour ça. Bon, c'est qui le petit tannant qui demande à Anita? Qu'est-ce que tu veux, toi? Oui, ben, je suis là. C'est le temps de me poser des questions. Vas-y. Bon, il y en a juste deux qui parlent français ici, fait que je vais attendre un petit peu. Bon, Rock, as-tu une question pour moi? C'est toi qui a demandé de me voir à soir, hein? C'est bien toi qui as demandé ça, ouais? I love you, Sonia. Ben, tu me rends jalouse ou quoi? Hein, Dr. Gangrene? Ouais. Euh, mais disons, il y en a une longue attente pour voir le Dr. Gangrene. Il y a bien du monde qui, euh, qui ont des problèmes, qui veulent le voir. Pas grand-chose à faire. Faut attendre. Uh, you asked me to speak French, so here I am. Now, what do you want? Or qu'est-ce que tu veux, as they say in French. You have questions for me? So, the Quebec government says I have to speak French at work now. So, go ahead and ask me whatever you want, and I'll answer 100% honestly, but it'll have to be in French because I don't want to go to jail. I do want to go to bed, but not jail. Request lines are now open. You're going to have to ask me something, or I'm just going to sit here and vape all night in French. Oh, excusez-moi, j'aurais dû dire ça en français. Just don't report me. My battery's dying. Made in China. Oh, ben oui, je peux parler français. Je suis pas mal choqué qu'il m'accuse d'être une Anglaise. See, look what happens when I speak French. Everybody's quiet. They don't know what I'm talking about. You can ask me for my opinions. Basically, you have to press the button or the mannequin is not going to talk. Parlez-vous frankly? I always speak frankly. Français. Mais bien sûr, je parle français. God, what a horrible accent. I'm not from Toronto, you know. Yeah, this government's crazy. They want everyone running around talking like je suis la madame de la bibliothèque. What a nightmare. Can you imagine if all these Anglos start speaking French to each other? Can you imagine the shit show? Pulling out their little phrase books, can't even order a coffee properly. What a nightmare. Yeah, in the operating room. No thanks. I'd rather take care of it myself in the garage. Go to the English dentist and he has to speak to his assistant in French. What could possibly go wrong? You worked for Mont Boucher? What's wrong with the Toronto accent? Well, it's not pure lang, as they say around here. The Toronto accent is hilarious. Well, I mean, that's kind of like saying, you know, what's so funny about an Indian accent? Well, I don't know, my friend. Nothing funny at all. Yeah, so you're a big badass, is what you're trying to say, Hawk. Yeah, you you worked for Mont Boucher. Yeah, I guess that's all out in the open now, so you can say that without getting murdered, or you wouldn't be doing it. 1995. Man, the 90s, that was a good time. Any fucked up thing that I did back then, I just say, well, it was the 90s, and everybody understands, because that's how it was. Quebec accent is funny too. Well, I think, yeah, like any kind of heavy accent can be kind of funny. Yeah, yeah, I know what happened with the rock machine. I know. I remember with the kid, they blew up the car and the 9-year-old boy got killed. I don't remember about the reporter, but I do remember about the prison guards and stuff. Yeah, it was pretty crazy times. So, yeah, are you satisfied now that I speak French? Am I going to go to jail? You guys, I got a parking ticket. I went shopping and I couldn't use my garage because they're doing some repairs. So I parked in front of my building just to empty my car. And then I came upstairs and, well, I had a couple of beers and I smoked a joint. And I forgot that I left my car in the middle of the street. And then today I went to go get my car from the other garage where I have to park it. And just right as I was coming into the garage, I realized, oh shit, I don't think I parked my car in the garage. Hey, where's my car? And sure enough, I left it in the street the night before. I forgot all about it. And I got a parking ticket. Now I'm going to have to pay it. But I think I'm going to contest it. I think I'm going to tell them, well, did it ever occur to you that if the garage wasn't closed for renovations that are taking way too long, I wouldn't have to park in the middle of the street? But they'll probably make me pay it anyway. Fuckers. How's my landlord? You know, my other landlord, he was bipolar and he would never really get rid of bed bugs properly. He was an asshole. This landlord, I thought that one was bad. This one's even worse. He's a corporation. And he told my neighbor it was okay to pay his rent on the 9th because that's the only day that neighbor's not working the night shift. He let him pay his rent on the 9th for about 5 or 6 months. And then he took him to court for paying his rent late. And he told him, well, did it ever occur to you that if you had staff in the office, I wouldn't have to pay my rent late? But I'm just taking him to court anyway. Fucker. Yeah. Really? You think I'm just going to send my parking ticket back? Uh, what was his name, that guy? He came and stayed at my place once, that free man on the land guy. Rob Menard. Yeah, I met him. I had some beers with him and whatever. And he came and stayed at my place. He was kind of antisocial. We would be eating dinner and he would go out on the balcony and watch Netflix on his iPad. It was kind of weird. But, you know, sometimes brilliant people are kind of weird. So, yeah, he told me about that. But he also told me that a lot of the stuff that he recommends is things that he hasn't actually tried out himself. You know, he just thinks they would work. So, what happens if you send the parking ticket back? Huh, that would be weird. It's not that much. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's contract law. Yeah, that's right. The free man on the land is Mika Razila. He's cool. He's like really committed to this. It's like a whole lifestyle. But he has to deal with an insane amount of hassles, though. He's always getting hassled by somebody. You know, if anybody like stumbles across this stream while I'm doing this at 1 in the morning, they're gonna be like, "What the fuck kind of channel is this? Why is this person even on YouTube?" They're talking about nothing, and they look like shit. How are they even allowed to be here? And they're going to go see I have 104,000 subscribers, and they're going to be like, how the hell did that happen? Yeah. How did it happen? How's my friend who went to Cuba with me? Oh, that's Jana. She's okay. She bought a house. She lived in somebody's basement for like 30 years. She paid $200 rent a month and she lived in an absolute shoebox. And then she bought herself an upper duplex. She keeps telling me to come and stay the night, but I declined so far. Maybe sometime I'll go do it. But if I go, then I got to bring my roommate and all our pets. And I don't think she's going to be up for that. Yeah, Jana bought a house. Pretty cool, huh? Anita. Yeah. I had some shit that I was going to tell you. Some shit that happened to me last week, but I can't even remember what it was. It's just too late at night. No, I'm not associating with them. But I should really go to bed. My kid is probably going to make me cook. I mean, not my kid. My sister Joanna's kid. My roommate. Her kid moved in with me. He probably smoked all my weed. Now he's going to make me cook in the middle of the night. No. Why would I want to be a free woman? Then I don't get welfare. And I don't get to go to the food bank either. Oh, hey, a freaking American in the house. Yeah. Nice to see you, man. You big catfisher. Well, not like I don't know anything about catfishing myself. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh, look. I'm losing all my viewers. That's how it is with these streams that I do. It starts out with me railing against the government. It ends with me just mumbling, mumbling to myself in a wig. It's like, wow, that escalated quickly. Okay, well, I really gotta go. Uh, so this is Anita Hit signing off in English. I got a frog in my throat. Yeah. Um, Anita Hit signing off in English while it's still legal. And that's it. Yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.